The sky was full of fire and steel, and the blackness of space was broken by the burning wreckage of ships drifting like dead whales, their hulls torn open, their lights fading, and their crews gone somewhere. Eli Morgan sat inside his damaged mech, his hands shaking as he pressed his back against the jagged surface of an asteroid. The air inside his helmet was hot and tasted like metal, his breathing loud in his own ears. Somewhere beyond the rock wall, alien voices echoed a language full of sharp hisses and growls that made the hairs on his neck stand up. They were hunting him. They were laughing, saying humans were weak, too soft for real war. He gripped his plasma rifle tighter, feeling the weight of it in his hands, and telling himself to stay still, to stay alive. His mech's systems flickered, and warning lights painted the inside of his helmet red. A small crack in the screen let in a thin stream of cold that bit into his cheek. He wanted to scream, but his father's voice came, to him from a lifetime ago, telling him to keep his head low and his eyes sharp. Then through the thin mist of drifting debris, something caught his eye. A faint pulse of blue light deep inside the asteroid, like a heartbeat. He had never seen anything like it before. His scanners tried to read it, but returned nothing, just an error code, as if the machine itself did not understand what it was. Curiosity and fear wrestled inside him, but then another blast shook the rock, and a chunk of asteroid broke away, revealing more of that strange glow. Eli forced himself forward, crawling through a narrow gap, the sharp edges scraping his armor until he dropped into a dark chamber carved into the heart of the asteroid. The light was stronger here, coming from a smooth, black sphere floating above a pedestal. No wires, no supports, just hanging in the air like it was waiting for him for a moment. All the war outside felt far away, replaced by the soundless hum that filled this room. He reached out his hand almost without thinking. The surface of the sphere rippled under his glove like water, and then a shock ran through his body. His helmet display went wild, systems flickering alive, his mech armor's damaged leg straightened on its own, and strength surged into his limbs. He staggered back, breathing fast, not sure if he should be grateful or terrified. His radio crackled, and he heard the screams of his squad mates one by one cut short by bursts of alien fire. Eli's heart pounded. He tried to call for help, but static swallowed his voice. The chamber shook as explosions tore through the asteroid. Dust rained from the ceiling, and the sphere's glow brightened, wrapping him in a blue haze that seemed to whisper inside his skull, telling him to stand, to fight to survive. He stepped back into the corridor, plasma rifle ready, and saw two alien soldiers rushing toward him, their armor shining with wet blood. His muscles moved faster than his thoughts. He raised his weapon and fired a burst that cut both of them down. The recoil should have knocked him back, but it felt like nothing at all. He didn't have time to think about it. More. Enemies were coming, shadows moving through the smoke, his mech's targeting system locked. Onto them faster than his eyes could follow. Every shot found its mark, and soon the ground was littered with bodies, but the glow inside him did not fade. It pulsed harder and harder until it felt like it would burst from his skin. Suddenly, his comm picked up a signal not from his squad, not from the base, but from somewhere much farther and deeper. A voice cold and inhuman said, "The destroyer fleet has entered the system." And in that instant, Eli knew this battle was only the beginning. Eli stood frozen, the alien voice still echoing inside his helmet as if it had been spoken right next to his ear. The destroyer fleet he had heard stories in the barracks whispered late at night about ships the size of small moons covered in weapons that could tear through planets and leave nothing but dust. If they were really here, then the battle outside was only a distraction. His mech armor hummed faintly with the same blue energy he had touched inside the chamber, and the glow from the black sphere still pulsed in the distance like it wanted him to come back. But there was no time. The asteroid shook again as heavy impacts tore into its surface, and he could hear the sound of enemy drones crawling through the tunnels clicking. and whirring like a swarm of hungry insects. Eli gritted his teeth and forced himself forward deeper into the asteroid's inner passages, the metal beneath his boots shifting between smooth walls of natural rock and strange alien architecture. Like this place had been built thousands of years ago by something not human, and not like any alien race he had seen. He passed a collapsed corridor where the bodies of his squad mates lay twisted in unnatural shapes, their weapons still in there. Hands, his chest tightened, but the glow inside him pushed away the grief, replacing it with a strange clarity. Every sound, every movement, every shadow felt sharper, as if his senses had been stretched wider. He turned a corner and came face to face. With two drones, spider-like machines with glowing red eyes and razor limbs, they lunged, but his body moved before his mind. Could he sidestepped with unnatural speed, drove his rifle into the first one's body, and fired point-blank blue sparks, and shards of metal exploded across the corridor. The second drone fired a laser that scorched the wall beside his head, but Eli rolled low and fired a single shot right into its sensor. The machine collapsed, twitching. He stared at his hands, breathing. Fast, this wasn't him. He had never moved like that before. Never thought that fast. It was the artifact, and it was changing him whether he wanted it or not. As he pushed forward, the tunnels opened into a wide chamber filled with ancient machinery, most of it dead and covered in dust, except for a single control panel flickering weakly. He stepped closer, and the screen changed on its own symbols, rearranging into words he could understand. Welcome, human initiate. Only you may unlock the core. He stepped back, his stomach twisting. What did that mean? How could this thing know him before he could decide what to do? Another voice came over his comm, breaking through the static. It was Sergeant Vale, his squad leader badly wounded his voice. Ragged Eli. If you're alive, you need to get out of there. The fleet's coming in full force. There's no reinforcement. Get to the escape shuttles. Eli opened his mouth to respond, but the control panel began to glow the same blue as the sphere, and suddenly an image appeared on the screen. It showed the asteroid from above enemy ships swarming around it, and then a red path leading deep underground toward something labeled Armory Bay. His mind raced. If there really was an armory hidden here, maybe it was the reason the aliens were attacking. Maybe it was the only way to stop them without thinking. He ran following the glowing red path displayed inside his helmet. More drones tried to block him, but he moved through them like a storm. Every shot perfect, every dodge smooth like his body was following a plan already written for him. The deeper he went, the stronger the energy inside him felt, until it was almost burning. The corridors narrowed and then opened into a massive hangar, sealed by a thick door etched with the same strange markings as the sphere. He reached out, and the door began to slide open. Without him touching any controls, a blast of cold air hit him, and the lights inside flickered on, revealing rows of ancient war machines taller than buildings, their armor sleek and black, their weapons unfamiliar yet terrifying. He walked among them, feeling the hum of their dormant power. The sphere's glow inside him pulsed faster like a heartbeat matching his own. Suddenly, his comm picked up another transmission, this one not from his allies and not in alien speech, but clear human words spoken by a voice he did not know. They found you too soon. The voice said, "You're not ready, but you have no choice now. If the destroyer fleet reaches this place, it's over for everyone." And before Eli could respond, the hangar doors on the far side began to shake under the force of incoming fire the enemy had found him. The hangar doors groaned and buckled as if some giant beast was clawing at them from the other side. Each impact sent a shudder through the floor beneath Eli's boots. Dust falling from the high ceiling above, the voice in his helmet spoke again. "Lower. Now more urgent. Listen to me, human. You have something they want more than the war itself. You can't let them take it." Eli's heart pounded. He turned toward the massive war machines, their black armor reflecting the cold light of the hangar. They were asleep, but the energy inside him whispered like a quiet rhythm, telling him he could wake them up, without understanding why he climbed into the nearest one. its cockpit sealing around him like it had been waiting his whole life for this moment. The controls lit up instantly, and instead of reading strange alien symbols, they shifted into plain human words. Systems Online pilot recognized Eli Morgan initiate combat protocol. The mech's core thrummed with the same blue glow that had touched him in the asteroid chamber, and when he wrapped his hands around the twin control sticks, he felt the machine's power flooding into him as if it were an extension of his own body. The hangar doors split open in a flash of fire, and steel alien soldiers and drones swarmed inside their weapons, spitting streams of red plasma. Eli moved without thinking, the mech's arms raising and unleashing a blast of energy that tore through the first wave. The recoil shuddered through him, but instead of pain, there was exhilaration. Every movement was perfect. Every target lit up in his vision. He cut them down, one after another, until the floor was littered with twisted metal and broken bodies. But more were coming. He knew he couldn't. "Hold this position forever." The mysterious voice broke in again. "You need to get out of the asteroid before the fleet locks its cannons. You have 10 minutes at most. There's an exit tunnel under the hangar floor, but it's guarded." Eli scanned the display and found the tunnel hatch glowing faintly on his map. It was buried under a swarm of heat signatures, too many for even the mech's cannons to clear in time. Then movement caught his eye, a shadow slipping between the wrecked drones. Moving faster than any alien soldier, it was a figure in a black cloak, their face hidden behind a mask. They leapt onto the mech's arm and banged on the cockpit glass open up. "We don't have time." Eli hesitated, but something in the stranger's voice was sharp and certain. He opened the hatch, and the figure dropped inside their presence, filling the small cockpit with an electric tension. "You're lucky I found you," the stranger said. "We don't get many humans this far into the war." Eli frowned. "What do you mean this far?" The figure glanced at him through the mask. "We were never supposed to fight in this war. Humans were meant to stay out of it. You're not in the official records. Your presence here is a problem for a lot of powerful people." Eli gripped the controls tighter. "So what am I supposed to do? Just run?" The stranger leaned closer. "No. You're going to do something no human has ever done. You're going to survive, and you're going to change everything." They jammed a small device into the mech's console, and a new route lit up on the display, not toward the exit, but deeper into the asteroid. Eli started to protest, but the stranger cut him off. "That artifact inside you, it's older than the war, older than this galaxy. It reacts to humans because you're the only species it trusts, and right now the enemy leader is here to take it from you." The hangar shook again, this time from above, massive cannons beginning to charge somewhere in orbit. Eli didn't understand why he should trust this masked stranger, but he knew one thing: staying here meant death. He pushed the mech forward, firing bursts to clear the path toward the new route. The enemy was thick, but the mech's movements were faster than the eye could follow, twisting between fire and smashing through drones like they were made of glass. The stranger guided him through narrow tunnels where the mech barely fit every turn, lit only by the blue glow of his core, until they burst into a hidden cavern. So wide it looked like the inside of a hollowed moon. In the center was a towering spire of black stone veins, of blue light crawling up its sides, and at the top a pulse like a slow heartbeat. The stranger's voice dropped to a whisper. "That's the core of the First War. Touch it, and you'll see the truth." But before Eli could move, a deep alien roar shook the cavern, and from the shadows stepped a figure twice the height of his mech, clad in armor, the color of blood, its eyes burning like twin suns. The enemy leader had arrived. The cavern felt smaller as the giant armored figure stepped forward, each footfall making the stone tremble, dust falling from the high arches above. Its voice rolled through the space, deep and cold. "Human, give me what you carry, and I may grant you a quick death." Eli gripped the mech's controls tighter. the blue glow of the artifact inside him flaring hotter, as if it knew this was the moment it had been waiting for the masked stranger in the cockpit. Beside him leaned forward their tone, razor sharp. "Don't listen to him. That's Korath, warlord of the destroyer fleet. He's killed worlds." Eli's eyes stayed locked on the towering enemy. Korath's armor was covered in scars, some still glowing. Faintly, from old battles, each step closer made the air feel heavier, as if his presence alone could crush bones. Eli fired the mech's cannons, twin lances of blue light cutting through the darkness, but Korath moved impossibly fast for his size. Sidestepping and launching a spear of crimson energy from his gauntlet, the blast slammed into Eli's mech, throwing him back into the cavern wall. Alarms screamed in his ears. The stranger barked at him to move, but the mech's right arm was sparking. Useless. Eli forced the machine forward, using only its left arm to block another strike. Each impact rattled through his bones. Korath's voice was a growl. "You don't even know what you're holding. Do you, human? The artifact you touched was forged by the first builders to end the war that almost destroyed the galaxy. You think it chose you because you're special, but you are just convenient. Your blood opens it." Eli felt anger rise hot and sharp. The stranger put a hand on his shoulder. "Ignore him. He's trying to break you. Focus on the core." Eli risked a glance at the black spire in the center of the cavern, its veins of blue light pulsing faster now, like it was alive, like it was watching him. Korath noticed his gaze, and in an instant, launched forward faster than Eli could react. The mech's sensors screamed warning, but the stranger grabbed the controls, overriding them. "Hang on," they shouted. The mech's boosters roared to life, throwing them sideways, just as Korath's blade tore through the stone floor where they had stood. Eli's head spun from the sudden movement, but the stranger was already pushing the mech toward the spire. "You have to touch it before he does." Eli didn't understand why, but the glow inside him surged, agreeing with the stranger. Every step toward the spire made his pulse race faster. Korath was right behind them, each impact of his massive feet shaking loose chunks of rock from the ceiling. Eli's mech stumbled as the floor cracked under. The strain, but he kept going at the base of the spire. An opening waited just big enough for the mech to reach through. Eli extended the remaining arm, pressing the mech's hand to the smooth black surface. For a heartbeat, nothing happened then. Light exploded outward, a wave of blue energy blasting across the cavern, knocking Korath back. The mech's systems flared to life, all damage warnings clearing. The stranger gasped. It accepted you in Eli's mind. Visions flooded in images of worlds, burning fleets tearing each other apart, and towering figures made of light forging the artifact in a sun's heart to end a war older than time. The vision shifted, showing Korath's face younger, but just as cruel, leading armies to slaughter. The builders themselves. The blue light faded, leaving Eli's breathing ragged, his hands shaking on the controls. Korath was already back on his feet, his voice filled with rage. "I will tear that power from your corpse." The stranger's voice was, "Steady now, we can't win here. Not yet. We need to fall back." Eli hesitated, every part of him screaming to finish it now, but the artifact's pulse inside him whispered patience. Not yet. He turned the mech toward a narrow tunnel on the caverns. Far side firing a last blast at Korath to slow him, the tunnel twisted down into darkness, the walls shaking as explosions echoed behind them. The stranger spoke quietly as they ran that thing in. "You will keep you alive, but only if you learn to control it. We have one chance to stop him, and it's not today." Eli swallowed hard as the light from the cavern faded behind them, leaving only the cold glow of the artifact ahead and the unshakable knowledge that the next time he faced Korath, it would be to decide the fate of the war. The escape tunnel spat them out into the open void, a hidden docking platform clinging to the side of the asteroid like an insect's nest half buried in rock. The masked stranger guided Eli's mech toward a small warship, its hull scorched from old battles and patched together with mismatched plating. The ship's ramp dropped before they even landed, and the two of them moved inside. The cockpit was dark until the stranger tapped a control panel and the systems came alive, filling the air with a low hum. Eli stepped out of the mech, his legs shaky from the fight with Korath. The stranger removed their mask, revealing sharp eyes and lines of exhaustion etched deep into their face. Names Commander Rin, they said. Ex-council officer, turned fugitive. Eli barely had time to take it in before Rin slid into the pilot's seat. Punching in coordinates, "The fleet will be on us in minutes," Rin explained. "And if they track us, it's over." The engines roared to life, and the ship shot into. The starless, dark Eli leaned against the wall, feeling the artifact's energy still burning in his chest. Every breath was too fast, his mind still replaying Korath's massive form closing in on him. Rin noticed the look in his eyes. "You think that fight was bad? Wait until he brings the full fleet." Eli forced the words out. "What is this thing in me?" Rin's gaze didn't leave the controls. "It's the core key without it. The artifact is just a relic with you. It's a weapon, the kind that can change the outcome of this war." Eli stared at them and saw no hint of a joke. Rin's voice hardened. "But it will kill you if you keep using it like you did in the cavern. It's burning through you each time you tap its power. It shortens your clock, so either you learn to control it or you die before it matters." Their words were still sinking in when alarms blared again. A fleet of smaller destroyer vessels had appeared on the radar, closing in fast. Rin cursed. "They must have tagged us. We're not going to outrun them." Eli stepped forward. "What do we do?" Rin's answer was simple. "We turn and fight." Eli climbed back into his mech as Rin swung the ship around, bringing the enemy into view. 3 sleek attack craft broke formation, streaking toward them, with weapons hot. Rin's cannons lit up the void, but the enemy dodged, weaving between blasts. One darted close enough to rake the hull with fire. Eli launched from the ship's side boosters, flaring as he tore through the nearest attacker. With a burst of plasma, the artifact's power surged through him again, flooding his limbs with precision and speed. The second ship tried to break away, but Eli was already on it, ripping into its engines before it exploded. The third veered off, but not far enough for Rin to finish it with a railgun shot. The silence after the fight was sharp, almost unnatural. Eli's breathing was rough, the glow inside him dimming slightly as if resting, but Rin's face was grim. "They'll call for backup. We have to finish this at the source." They plotted a course toward the edge of the system, where a massive destroyer battleship waited, its silhouette blotting out distant starlight. The flagship, Eli realized, the heart of the fleet. Rin's plan was brutal and simple. They'd punch through the flagship's shields and overload its reactor, but the artifact's energy would be needed to breach the core chamber. Eli said nothing, but deep inside he knew what that meant. The closer they drew to the flagship, the more the artifact stirred inside him, like it was aware of where they were going when they broke through the shield line. Enemy fire raked across the hull, tearing through armor. Rin threw the ship into a spinning dive straight into the battleship's launch bay. Eli launched again from the open ramp, his mech hitting the deck. Hard weapons, already blazing drones, poured in from every side. But the artifact guided his every step, every strike perfect and deadly. He fought his way toward the massive blast doors at the far end. Rin's voice came over comms. "You'll only have one shot when you're in the core chamber. Once it goes, we won't have time to pull you out." Eli didn't answer. His mech's fists smashed the control, nodes forcing the blast doors open. The core chamber beyond was a cathedral of steel and energy, a massive reactor burning white-hot in its center. The artifact inside Eli's chest pulsed so hard it hurt, and Rin's voice was softer now. "You know what you have to do, don't you?" Eli's throat was dry. "Yeah, I have to destroy it." Silence filled the comm for a beat. Then Rin said, "Just make it count." The heat inside the core chamber was suffocating, waves of energy rolling off the reactor and blinding. arcs the walls vibrating like the whole ship was alive and furious. Eli stepped forward, each movement heavy, as if gravity itself was trying to hold him back. The artifact inside him burned hotter than ever, its blue glow bleeding through the cracks. In his armor spilling across the floor like light from another world, his mech's sensors screamed warnings, reactor stability, critical containment, breach risk, 90%. He could hear Rin's voice in his calm, low but steady. You have less than 3 minutes. Eli, his hands tightened around the controls, and for a second he hesitated, staring up at the massive heart of the destroyer fleet. The thought hit him like a blade. This was the end of the road. There was no walking away from what had to happen. The artifact's whisper slid into his mind, cold and calm. There is no victory without sacrifice. The door behind him exploded inward, drones flooding into the chamber, their weapons tearing chunks from the walls. Eli turned the mech. With inhuman speed, the artifact guiding his every shot, every strike. The first wave went down in seconds, but more came. The reactor's hum grew louder, shaking the chamber until it felt like the air might split apart. Rin's voice cut in sharp. You need to start the overload now. Eli, his gaze locked on the core, its swirling mass of light drawing him in the artifact's pulse. Inside him matched the rhythm of the reactor, as if they were one. The connection was instant when he reached out, the mech's arm touching the containment shell. Blue light surged outward, mixing with the reactor's white, until the colors bled into a blinding storm. Data and visions crashed into Eli's mind. He saw Earth safe and green. Far from the war, he saw the faces of those who had fallen in this fight. He saw Korath standing in a burning field, roaring in rage. The artifact's voice pressed deeper. You can end this, Eli, but you will not survive. The power tore through him, every nerve on fire, every breath a battle. He gritted his teeth, forcing the overload sequence. The reactor screamed in a pitch that shook his bones, the chamber walls beginning to crack. The drones halted as if they knew it was too late. Rin's voice came again, softer. Now we'll remember you, kid. A strange calm settled over Eli's chest. He opened the mech's comms and began to record his voice, steady, even as the reactor flared. They said humans don't belong in war. They were wrong. And if anyone hears this, tell them we can fight and we can win. The reactor's light grew until it was all there was, swallowing the chamber, swallowing him. The last thing he felt was the artifact's pulse. One final time, then silence. The explosion tore through the flagship, ripping it apart from the inside, the shockwave shredding the destroyer fleet's formation, their ships turning to drifting wreckage. Rin's ship escaped just beyond the blast radius. The view from the cockpit filled with debris and fire. The war had turned in a single strike. Months later, the galaxy was quiet. The Alliance had pushed back what was left of the fleet. Earth was safe again on a memorial wall in the capital. Eli Morgan's face was carved in stone, his name etched beneath it, as the rookie who changed the war. But rumors began to spread among the fringe colonies, stories of a lone black mech drifting through deep space, its blue glow flickering in the dark. One freighter captain swore they saw it moving slowly as if searching for something, the artifact's light still alive, and in the shadows of the void somewhere far from any star. Eli's eyes opened, glowing bright blue.